Did you miss him? Well, then let's get back to Curtis Wright on The Beat.
Okay, we're back live here on The Beat on the new 106.7 FM My Talker Radio. Our phones will be open for our next segments, 833-8764, 833-8764. Again, as we were talking about with Congressman Mark Meadows, he's from the 11th District here in North Carolina. He's leading the charge with others in the House to defund Obamacare. Make sure you're getting on the phones, get on your faxes. Yeah, they still use faxes in government. And get on your emails and send letters to your elected officials, senators. If you don't know, I know he's pretty much MIA, but we do have a senator called Richard Burr, and we do have another senator called Kay Hagan, and you need to be communicating with them. You also, and by the way, you really need to strongly communicate with Senator Richard Burr because he thinks all this is silly. And we need to also make sure that you should be sending emails to the local editors of all of the newspapers and TV stations. You can send thousands a day by just clicking once or twice on your computer. So remember, it's about action now, and the time for talk is over. It's time for us to act, and we know that in the grassroots conservative movement. In studio with me, two people who have been involved in this issue and certainly been out as advocates fighting against Obamacare, educating people on Obamacare, and then I should say fighting against it. And I'll let them speak for themselves this morning. First, the host of the Political Pulse here on the new 106.7 FM My Talker Radio. That's Dr. Tony Maglione. And joining us also a little bit early, you'll see that on our Facebook and Twitter pages, a little bit early, is Jude Eden. She's one of the founders and organizers of next Tuesday evening's Town Hall that's going to take place here in New Hanover County at the Northeast Public Library in the Live Oak Room starting at 6 o'clock. And it's a educational event, and it's well for you to come out and voice your opinion and also do a question and answer. We'll talk about the details of that. So good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Curtis.
Morning, Curtis.
Everything's working. Let's get that second mic up a little bit. We're good on that. Thank you, Mark.
Curtis, I just wanted to let you know about Richard Burr calling his office. Their staff is instructed to just tell everybody, well, he voted against Obamacare, and they won't commit to what he'll do about the vote.
See, this is the big
defunding.
travesty with the
I just want to let people know they have to really push that staff because they blew me away.
Well, he's always blown us away. He doesn't represent us. He represents Washington. He represents the status quo. And I'm sorry that hurts his feelings and his chief of staff's feelings and all the other Republicans here in southeastern North Carolina, part of the establishment. Richard Burr represents Washington. He doesn't represent North Carolina. 75% of North Carolinians want Obamacare to go away or more, depending on where you live, and over 75% want it defunded. And he says taking any step, first of all, He's got this little thing going on, this little, trick, just like Pittenger does. He's part of the same crowd that says, oh, you guys are wacko birds. You guys are nutcases because you want to shut down the government. We didn't say we want to shut down the government. We want you to pass a budget and an appropriations bill that leaves out the funding of Obamacare.
Right. I keep saying that's this shutdown thing is, the big fat red herring of this whole argument because they're completely separate. If we had a big umbrella budget, that might be the case, but we don't. We don't even have a budget.
But see, that's what people who aren't committed to conservative values, that are people that don't have the courage to stand up. That's what they do. And again, I'm sorry, Senator Burr, that hurts your feelings, but you are John McCain's right-hand man. You always have been John McCain's right-hand man. And John McCain and Lindsey Graham and you and the others are the problem, not the solution in America today.
They're the poster boys for why we need term limits. I mean, anybody gets in, they say one thing, and then within a few years, they buy into this Washington.
And what's amazing about this Pittenger clip that I keep playing for folks, now, by the way, this was at a town hall with Congressman Meadows, that the arrogance, I can't show you because I can't play the video right now, the arrogance, the body language, who are you to question me? This is a guy who lost how many elections in North Carolina? And only because of the grassroots conservative movement finally made it into Congress. And then on his first town hall home, he looks people in the eye and goes, who the hell are you?
Right.
To talk to me this way. And by the way, here's the wonderful excuse. Oh, well, Harry Reid won't approve it. The president won't approve it. That's not the discussion. The discussion is put forth appropriations and a budget, an appropriations bill that doesn't have funding for Obamacare.
Right. We have a separation of powers. Congress has this power. They should exercise it. And it's funny because now one of my fellow organizers recently called Burr's office, and now their line is that he agrees with defunding, but not the way Cruz is doing it. So he just...
They don't agree with Cruz
yeah.
because Cruz is making them all look like a bunch of silly fools. That's why they're angry with him and Rand Paul. You know, Richard Burr, along with McCain and Graham, would rather be out having a free dinner on the president's tab, which is on our tab, down the street, and having drinks. That's what they want, and the photo op.
Right, and the thing is that they could, as I write a blog, it's called Political Animal, and as I pointed out, I did one that was titled "Be the Hero of Healthcare and the Economy, Defund Obamacare." These people, all the representatives, could be heroes. Left, right, doesn't matter. They can bring back healthcare, good healthcare for people. They can bring back the economy if they defund this, and then they can take credit for it.
But see, Jude, here's the issue. And it boils down to this. This is what Tony McGee said about 4 or 5 months ago on the show. They're not committed to conservative principles and values. Because if you're committed, that's exactly what you would do.
Right.
But if you're committed to Washington and
you would think
re-election, and as Richard Burr did on my show, 4 years ago, hey, you should see all of my new curtains. And, you know, I got all this extra money to redecorate.
But you would
my
think
office is beautiful.
if they want to keep that, then they should go with this policy. That they should go with defunding Obamacare because that will guarantee their political careers. Ironically,
but you're not the priority. Karl Rove is the one in their ear, and the priority is playing the Washington game and doing the Washington
Well, that's
two-step.
exactly why we're doing the town hall, is whether they're going to show up or not, we are going to make our voices heard, and we're going to make it echo beyond the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And we want
and that, you know, you're making an important point. We're going to talk about the details here. We got plenty of time. But here's the deal. Look at Congressman Meadows, and I didn't really say what I wanted to say to him when I was thanking him. He's not playing golf. He's not out decorating his home or, you know, doing all kinds of things on vacation. This guy is out organizing and showing up for town halls all over the place and taking the tough questions, answering the questions. Where's Richard Burr? Where's Senator?
MIA.
Where's Kay Hagan? You know, certainly we're not going to expect it from McIntyre. But, I mean, the point is, where are they? Right now, they should be home here working every day with all those people that we pay money to, getting people together, getting a groundswell together, telling people to write, email, call. They're not doing that.
Curtis, the important point is this is not just about conservative values. This is about what is in Americans' best interests. Healthcare crosses all political lines. It affects everybody. And to do the right thing is to try to help people from pain and suffering and dying early. If Obamacare stays, besides the financial problems, you're going to have all these other physiological effects, and we can avoid it. And that's why they got to stand for defunding this Obamacare, try to get other things in legislation.
I'm here in studio, and I'm with, of course, the host of Political Pulse, Dr. Tony Maglione. You can hear Political Pulse here on the new 106.7 FM My Talker Radio, 7 to 8, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends. And also Jude Eden's with us, an organizer of next Tuesday night's Defund Obamacare Town Hall at the Northeast Public Library in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm Curtis Wright, on the beat. We'll be right back. There's lots more to talk about. Back live here on the beat. I'm Curtis Wright. It's 7:51. I stand corrected. It's not wet out there across southeastern North Carolina, but it's muggy. And it's going to be muggy today. Maybe some cooler weather towards the end of the week, but also moving in is some wet weather. So be safe traveling around. Keep it tuned here on the new 106.7 FM My Talker Radio. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on. And in studio with us, continuing our discussion about Obamacare and the Defund Obamacare Town Hall that will take place next Tuesday evening. Again, it starts at 6 o'clock. It's at Northeast Public Library off Military Cutoff in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we're going to let our next guests, our guests in studio, talk about it. Again, this is Jude Eden. She's one of the founders of this and the organizers. She's a local activist here, conservative. And also we have Dr. Tony Maglione, the host of Political Pulse. I asked, I said on the show, and then you texted me actually, or while I was live on the show, I said, I hope the organizers of this town hall are going to talk about action.
Absolutely.
And I think it was because of what Congressman Meadows and I and others have talked about, that the people across America, and this is what drives me nuts about the Republicans, you know, the people across America now, an overwhelming majority of people say this is bad. Bad.
Everything
okay?
the opponents objected to.
So everybody comes to our
come to
side, and
fruition.
finally our job of educating people and motivating people and moving them, you know, from a bad policy to a good policy is all there. And where are the Republicans? This is the time to strike. You know, when the fire's hot, you know, the iron's hot or whatever. For some reason, we allow these moments to pass us. So I asked.
We don't.
I mean,
They
that's
do.
what I mean. I asked on the air. Thank goodness for the grassroots conservative movement, huh? I asked, is this going to be about a call to action, like Senator Cruz said, and telling people this is what you need to do? So explain to us a little bit first about the agenda, so to speak, what they can expect. Two, who's involved, and you know, and the value, why you think people need to show up for this.
Sure. Well, it's going to be 2 hours from 6 to 8 on Tuesday, because we wanted to we have several great speakers, and then the majority, at least an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, is going to be for people's questions. So we really want that involvement. And this is really for anybody, people who don't know what the problem is with Obamacare, you know, like Tony was saying, it affects people, race, creed, color, you know, political affiliation does not matter. It's going to negatively impact everybody equally unless you're rich.
And I hope
pretty much.
small business owners of any size show up, because one of the things, and I hope you guys focus on this, I have to say I'm sorry I won't be there. I hope that you focus. One of the things that's missing in this discussion, I know that we talk about people losing jobs, people losing their health care, people going from full-time to part-time. This is going to result in a major restructuring of the employment market in America.
Right.
And people they're sort of saying, yeah, people are going to lose their jobs, jobs are going to train, they're not going to get as many hours. Yeah, no. This is going to be, and in my lifetime, an event that will restructure the employment market.
Absolutely.
And that is not being focused enough upon. And I hope small business owners, no matter what size your company are, show up, because all of us are now even doing more investigation into what it means to our businesses, our employees, our ability to operate a business, be competitive. And it's unbelievable. It's mind-blowing.
Curtis, this is being done for a reason. As more and more people lose jobs or work less, they're going to become more and more dependent on government and make government bigger. If people are
But the bottom line is,
underemployed-
people think they're getting health care because they're going to be unemployed and all of a sudden they're going to go in the government rolls. No, they're not going to get health care, because what the government is going to do, because we cannot afford it, is whether it's next year or the year after, as we've seen with Medicaid, Medicare, and all these other things, the benefits are going to have to be reduced.
They're going to say, if we can't afford it, we're not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Look at TRICARE
Or we're just
for the military. Every month, I mean, every day they're almost redoing that.
That impacts on your quality of care. When certain services aren't there that were there before Obamacare, aren't there, and you can't get certain types of surgery for your arthritis, you're not going to be able to walk, you're going to have pain and suffering. This is very, very simple premise. People don't understand. This is not just about, as you're talking about, the jobs and the restructuring of our economy. They go hand in hand. Healthcare is a business. There is an economical aspect to it. As more and more people are underemployed or unemployed and on the government, and the government is in charge, the worse the system gets. Because number one, the money won't be there. But number two, when the government is in charge, the services rendered are less efficient. There's more fraud. There's more waste in the system. Everybody loses except a few bureaucrats and maybe the top 1 or 2%.
And you know, the Republican establishment, all the Republican establishment has is cliches and cutesy little phrases. And what I mean by that is, well, this guy, he's an empty suit. This guy this guy that. These liberal Democrats. No, look, The bottom line is they know exactly what the effect of this is going to be. They know it. And
Right. They're not stupid.
And that's what's so diabolical. They know it's like a balloon. If you push me as a business owner to do this, and especially in this economy, what I'm looking at for the next 5 years, I'm sorry, you're not going to be a full-time employee. You're going to be a part-time.
Right.
You're not going to get hours. You're not going to get a raise. You're not going to get a bonus. And by the way, and it's happening right here in Wilmington, and I hope you guys openly talk about it. And if you don't like it, then go somewhere else. That's what's happening. And you know what? Maybe a business owner, maybe somebody who's amassed a certain amount of wealth can set their own destiny or decide on their own
Right.
destiny. But the other 80% can't.
It's back to a feudal system where the wealthy and powerful, laws that apply to the rest of us, but not to them.
Well, no, hold it. Now, don't go there, Jude. Watch yourself. These people are going to take care of themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
I just
The
recently
rich and
started a
powerful-
company again.
Yeah.
I owned companies most of my life. And I've got news for you. I didn't go home to my wife and go, holy smokes, did you know the taxes went up? And you and I are going to have to bring home less money now. And we may have to move out of our house so that Chris and Leslie and all the other 60 employees I have can keep their lifestyle. No, you don't. You're not a bad person when you say, I'm sorry, you're not going to get the hours.
No, but I'm
gonna
saying
have to
the
let you go.
rich and powerful, like the legislators who are going to get their health care 70% subsidized. That's what I mean by feudal, where the powerful, they can exist just fine and screw the rest of us.
And you now, if you want to take that further, this is unbelievable that even the so-called liberal progressives aren't outraged that government workers would be exempt to live under this same debacle called Obamacare. I mean, really.
Well, they don't understand the rule of law, that what this country is built on is that the law applies to all equally.
Should be
But
equitable.
for all the phrases again and the gimmicks from the Republicans, there are Democrat business owners, there are Democrat
Absolutely.
employees out there,
Right.
and they're going to get screwed
Well,
just like all the rest of us.
yeah.
And they're not.
That's
even,
why Democrats and the unions are now against Obamacare. So America is catching up to what the opponents of Obamacare in the first place were talking about and have proven to be right about.
when these other groups come forward, that's what I talked about with you about a missed moment that we can
Right.
bring people together. Republicans can. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on The Beat. I'm Curtis Wright. Lots more to talk about. Defund Obamacare Town Hall. These town halls, by the way, are taking place across North Carolina, and I hope folks will attend them. And this one is going to be an exciting one. You can bring friends, folks. Grab friends, grab neighbors on the way out the door, and take them. Next Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock, Northeast Public Library off Military Cutoff. Pretty much everybody knows where that facility is. Also in studio is Dr. Tony Maglione.
Curtis, I just wanted to make one little point about what Jude was talking about. I had lived in Italy for 5 years and studied under a socialized medicine system, and what she says was right on. A few percent of people, the people in government and in charge of making the laws, and about 1 to 5%, depending on whether they were withholding their taxes and not paying their taxes, were able to pay under a private system. So that everybody got socialized medicine, but the waits were long, and 95% and more of Italians got poor care. The doctors were well qualified. The system was terrible.
I wish more business owners were engaged in educating people what's going to happen, what's already happening and what's going to happen. Because everybody who is able to protect themselves will. In Europe, in England, you go to England, and you will find that people who are middle class or upper middle class have a private plan that
No,
whatever's
they
not picked
actually-
up.
They go to other countries because they don't have it really in their country.
I know people in England, and this is what they do. They have two plans, the government and a supplement. And that's what they do to protect themselves. Everybody's going to protect themselves here in America as well, whether it's letting people go, cutting back on hours to protect the business owner, and that's not greed. And these are the types of things we need to tell folks, because the vast majority of Americans, which is okay. I mean, they're workers, they're employees, they're people that make companies be able to exist, and they're the ones that are going to take it in the shorts,
Right.
And think about it. Go further.
The point is
this
that
thing is putting
versus
business.
socialized medicine, the free market system is the best system under which the most people can get the best care.
And we've got people. What
And
was the number?
Obamacare
What was the
doesn't
last,
provide
What was the
that.
last number out of England? 50,000 people died waiting for freaking care. Now, what we do is we run around as Republicans, not me, but Republicans do. Oh, we got death panels. Now,
Without explaining.
I can tell you right now, a Republican political operative came up with that thing because they think that's cool. That'll scare people. What we should have said is there are going to be people making decisions on what care, what type of care, like you do, doctor. You tell people when you can have it, when you can't have it, how fast you can have it, bing, bang, boom. We're not going to put a label on this. We need to educate people that this is what happened, and this is what I mean. I don't mean to be argumentative. What I'm saying is the sad part is that there are the 1%, the 2%, the 5% that are going to be able to protect themselves from this massive mess.
Under any system. But the
Right.
point was, don't punish the 95% of hardworking people who could get better and had better just because you want to equalize the playing field. What you do is you bring everybody down.
And
you don't help
think about
people.
this number.
So we're
30
in
million
agreement here.
people don't have health care. We got to have Obamacare.
Right, and
at the
instead
end of the day, probably, I'm telling you, I
Right.
think
More
Congressman
people
Meadows
won't.
is being nice. Yeah, I think 40 million people won't have it.
Right.
And who
Rather
are the-
than passing a bill just for those
Right.
30 million, say,
And who are those 40 million? They're people that have no other alternative but to sit by a phone. And by the way, they're not all people that are lazy and don't want to work. They're people that have no other options or opportunities to protect themselves or take care of themselves. And it's
Or
just
it's
a
by
mess.
choice. I mean, I have friends who by choice
Yeah.
have chosen not to get, insurance. They don't want to be forced to buy something, and they shouldn't be.
But it's like everything else we do in this country, instead of going after the problem and objectively looking at it and coming up with a plan, it
wasn't about addressing
No.
a problem. It was about pushing socialized medicine.
Now, let's talk about the people that are going to be there and their expertise, because that's really important, their expertise.
Right. You're talking about business owners, and one of our speakers is Claude Pope, who is a small business owner himself, and he will definitely be talking about that. He's the North Carolina GOP chair. He's going to be talking about the NCGOP's resolution to defund. In addition to Dr. Tony, we have Greg Brannon, who is a doctor of 18 years. He's going to be talking about the negative impacts of Obamacare from a doctor's perspective. So we've got these two doctors. Jason Thigpen, he is running for Congress in the 3rd District, and he's also he's a Purple Heart recipient. He's involved in several of the North Carolina veterans and military advocacy groups, and he also started one called the Student Veterans Advocacy Groups. He will be talking about the impacts of Obamacare on veterans in particular. And we also have a woman named Pattie Curran. She's a mother. She's a conservative activist. She's been writing and has made educational videos about how, because she has special needs children who require a lot of constant care. And she will be talking about the impacts, the direct impacts to her family, and how her costs have exploded already under Obamacare, and they're going to just continue going up and up and up. So we have a lot of people. We also,
but again, I mean, you said this already, but I want to make sure folks know this isn't about speech making. This is really about
it's
interaction.
It's about educating,
and then call to action.
Because
right?
for a lot of people, they may understand some of the principle, but to understand from a doctor's perspective, I mean, how many people are saying, "Hey, doc," when they're in the office, "What do you think about this Obamacare?" Some people might be like, if I ask about this, does that put me in a bad position with my doctor? Or?
Most doctors are not going to get that political. They're just too busy working, trying to keep their head above water with all the regulations and the changes in payment.
Now, you really said that. You said that and you looked at me like, that's going to set me off. I am disappointed in two groups. Number one,
doctors
I sat at a New Hanover County.
But we have two doctors.
I talk about sat at a New Hanover County, Lower Cape Fear, whatever it was, Association of Doctors, and I was very honored to be invited to sit and listen. And that evening, someone was receiving an award for his lifelong service in medicine, and he spoke about the responsibility of doctors as leaders in their community because they're the most trusted people. And then for that group not to take a stand on an issue that was going to affect the entire community because it was politics.
Right.
You know what?
You're absolutely right.
Whether it's doctors or business people, they're MIA in this, not you, but they're MIA in this debate. And this debate, and that to me is unacceptable. You know, I'm busy too.
Right.
I'm a business owner. There are guys right now who are out in trucks, driving trucks. They're busy, but they're involved. You know what? This whole thing, well, I'm too busy, I'm a doctor, I don't want to get political. Now, you know what? They need to be committed and they need to be courageous and not worry about whether somebody in the waiting room is going to be upset with them.
We have a couple of them, and Dr. Greg Brannon, he's on call that night, and he's still going to try and make it and come. So, kudos to that.
How's he going to get back to deliver that baby if he's on call? It's got a long way to go. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to talk more about the Defund Obamacare Town Hall next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock here in the New Hanover County Public Library, Northeast Public Library on Military Cutoff. I'm Curtis Wright. We're back live here on the beat. And they are committed. They're committed to the cause. It's interesting. They're from the grassroots conservative movement. I don't know, wacko birds that are in studio with me. These crazy people that want to educate and then save America. And that is Jude Eden. She's the organizer, one of the organizers of next Tuesday evenings, Defund Obamacare Town Hall here in Wilmington, 6 o'clock, Northeast Public Library, and Dr. Tony Maglione. You and I are going back and forth, and I think you're misunderstanding me. I think that it's so great what you're doing because it was the same thing with the II Impact Conference on Illegal Immigration. You know, I don't understand this. I'm worried about not being on somebody's Christmas card list. I'm worried about what the party money thinks of me. I'm worried about, my neighbors, they'll get so uncomfortable if I talk about politics and all of that. Yet you guys, and like me, I mean, look, I'm rabid because you know what? There's two things that can happen. My country gets destroyed, and I'm 56, so I can live through that. But my children and grandchildren, or my country is saved and my children and grandchildren have a better life.
Right.
Okay? I'm sorry. I know it's door number 2 for me.
Right. That's why, my blog is called Political Animal because Aristotle said we should be political animals. And the Greeks actually said if you're not politically involved, you have no business being a citizen.
I actually heard someone yesterday say again, and I know I don't mean to, forgive me for being argumentative if I have. Please forgive me. But I actually heard someone yesterday go, well, that now you're getting into the realm of politics.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Everything has to do with politics. Why? Because we live in America. And in America, the first 3 words are we the people.
Right.
And our government works for us and is to support our quality of life and our livelihoods. Government's not supposed to be, how can you separate politics in America from living your life?
And you can't anymore. You can't. If you have been, you can't anymore.
And part of the problem is people are uncomfortable arguing. They think politics is arguing. It can be informative. You can actually learn about your system of government and learn more so you can be a better informed voter, get the right type of people in. I think part of the problem is people are not getting as informed. They're not learning. There sure is a grassroots movement. There's a few percentage of people that are really, really involved. We've got to get more and more people involved, and that just means more and more work. Our work is ahead of us, not behind us.
Someone asked Ted Cruz the other evening at one of his town halls something, and he said, let's be clear here. Only a third were actively involved in the revolution of the American Revolution, okay? And like today, you had a third on the fence. Hey, which way is this going to go with their finger up in the air? And the other third that you just could care less, I guess, or again, thinking about something other than what's going on in their country. That's where we are. You here today are part of that third. You believe not in...
And we're making a difference.
No, we are. Don't believe me, we are. Hey, you know what? Let me tell you why I believe that if you don't think I'm being argumentative. You know what, Jude? Now take a second, just a second, a split second, and think about what the last 6 years in America would be if there was no grassroots conservative movement.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
What would happen in media if there were no Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity. Think about in the media if there was no Fox News.
Right, it would all be private.
I can't even. I'm telling you, I'm being honest, and I'm pretty informed.
Or in
I don't even know.
2010, we didn't take over the House.
Right.
Well, and this is the principle. It doesn't that parallels their, well, we can't fight if we're not going to win. I don't care if we're not going to win. I'm not going to be silent about these things because I can't be. I don't know. I'm Jewish, and I have ancestors that survived the concentration camps. If it weren't for people who kept silent, maybe that wouldn't have happened. And that's what I always think about when it comes to political activism, is that I just can't be quiet about it, because if I don't speak up, who will? And all it takes is one or two or a couple of people. We don't actually have to have the numbers if you just have the spine to voice it. And, I started off with a phone call to Dr. Tony. Hey, Dr. Tony, are you in on a town hall if we can put it together? He said, yes. I thought if I had one doctor, I would reserve that room at the library. And then it expanded exponentially from there. I got in contact with other people. Invitations went out. We're going to fill that room. It's a capacity of 200 people. We're going to fill it. We have a great lineup, between Greg Brannon and Jason Thigpen and the president of Civitas and Claude Pope, Pattie Curran. This is going to be a great thing. And all it took was a couple of people. Same with II Impact. That's what we did. Two people talking together. What can we do? This is an incredibly important issue, and it expands exponentially. And our voices, it ripples out.
Maybe clarify again what I'm trying to say is that room should be overflowing, because every doctor in this town, I don't care what your registration of party is, if you care about your patients, you should be there. Every business owner, like me, I have been in business all my life, but I will tell you, the most important people to me were my employees and their welfare, and that's why I had less than a 1% turnover in my businesses. They need to be there. Business owners need to be there. Others who have maybe people, a family, extended family, who, healthcare is a major part of their life. I don't know any other way to put it, that it affects their life.
Absolutely.
Me, it doesn't. I haven't seen a doctor. I don't get sick except for a cold. But for them, they need to be there.
Absolutely.
And so that room, it should be out the door and down the street.
And these town halls are going on all over the country. Heritage is doing a tour of Defund Obamacare. Heritage Action we've got 6 town halls across North Carolina, and they're packing the house with each one of them.
He's holding 11
people are coming out for
just
this.
Himself.
Yeah. People are coming out, though. You know, people are waking up. People are coming out. And for every person that comes, and we're going to have petitions for people to sign. We're going to have postcards that say Defund Obamacare to go out to each of the representatives who aren't there to voice, that concern and urge them. You can, if we bug them enough, we can sway them and help them to vote more conservatively. Isn't that nice of us?
Just remember what conservative means. My good friend George Rage reminded us a number of years ago when we had the conference. Conservative is to preserve and protect our founding principles. Conserve. And that's what it's about. And this is adverse to all that. Now, on the politics level. But on the other side, the reason to defund is because it needs to stop. The damage that permanently is going to happen to people's lives, the quality of life, their ability to have businesses, keep businesses, employ people, people who are employees to move up the ladder, have an opportunity, all of that is going to be permanently damaged.
And if the Republicans get on board, they can stop the funding of it. They can do it.
Just to reinforce your point about your ancestry and what they had to go through and that people kept silent, we have to speak up, because this is an oppressive bill. This will affect people and hurt them and kill them before their time, before Obamacare did exist. So that's the reason. We can't stay silent on this. We have to get active and defund Obamacare.
And folks, listen, as Jude said when she opened up, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, independent, doesn't matter. This is going to affect you, and it's not going to stop at your doorstep and ask you what your affiliation is. Everyone gets affected negatively. Folks, next Tuesday evening, 6 to 8 at the Northeast Public Library here in Wilmington, North Carolina, off Military Cutoff. And by the way, free parking, plenty of room. Grab 4 or 5 neighbors, grab your family members, and come on out to the Defund Obamacare Town Hall. Be educated and get engaged. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Curtis.
And
thank you.
I'm Curtis Wright. We'll be right back. We have lots more to talk about here.